Did the New York Giants call the New Orleans Saints and see if they could get a Chris Olave trade done? We're going to react to that on today's show as you're watching Giants Now by Chat Sports, and I am your host, Marshall Green. Chris Olave trade rumors have continued to gain steam throughout the offseason. I talked to our guy, Trace Gerard, the host of the Saints channel here at Chat Sports, and he said there's been some chatter about a potential trade, but really nothing concrete at this point. Why are we talking about the New York Giants reaching out? Because NFL evals on Twitter saying the New York Giants reached out to New Orleans regarding Chris Olave earlier last week. Nothing materialized. They did show interest to an extent. However, the question now becomes is how credible is NFL eval? So I've gone to their Twitter, I've reached out to certain people, and the thing that I think gives them the biggest green check mark is their pinned tweet, where it says hashtag Giants are in the market for a certain edge. Eyeball emoji, big timer. That was back on March 11th of 2024. As we remember around that time, the New York Giants executed a trade for Brian Burns. So whether that account has sources or they had a lucky guess, they at least were right about the Brian Burns trade. Look, I've reached out to people that I know that are connected to the front office and people that are connected to the Saints, as well as Trace has reached out, and we have not heard of the New York Giants making a call to to the Saints for Chris Olave. This does not say that what NFL eval said is true or false. I'm just giving you all of the information that I possibly can and all the information that I do have. I have not heard about it, but could they have reached out and seen if a trade for Olave was possible? Absolutely. First off, the Giants need another wide receiver. They haven't done anything to improve the wide receiver room at all this offseason. Bringing back Darius Slayton is not an improvement. You're just bringing back a player that was already on this team. Going out, signing Lil Jordan Humphrey and Zach Pascal, that is not an improvement. So the New York Giants, they want to improve that room, or at least they should. And also, the Saints have been linked to a trade for Chris Olave dating all the way back to January. So the Giants need a receiver. A receiver is reportedly on the trade block. That's really good. Yeah, the New York Giants could have reached out. Again, I have not heard that, despite what NFL eval said. Not calling him a liar, just giving you all the information that we have. I asked Trace Gerard, why would the Saints trade Chris Olave? And he said, well, he's entering his final year under contract. The Saints did just pick up his fifth-year option, so now he has 2 more years on the deal. The Saints cap space in 2026 is in the red, minus $6.4 million. He's going to want a big payday. The Saints have been kicking the can down the road, and maybe we get to a point where they have to at least let one talented player go. And he's also had serious injury concerns and missed a good amount of time throughout his NFL career. There's not just rumors that the New Orleans Saints have been in contact with the New York Giants about an Olave trade. Rumors are now heating up that the Pittsburgh Steelers have made a call to New Orleans. Adam Crowley, who covers the Pittsburgh Steelers, saying the Saints are working on a trade for Olave. Also saying the Steelers will be willing to trade a day 2 pick. And obviously the Pittsburgh Steelers need a receiver after they traded George Pickens to the Dallas Cowboys. Crowley also tweeting this out. To be clear, I heard someone who would be in the know text me, quote, Chris Olave. So like I like to say, where there is smoke, there is fire. The question now becomes, were the New York Giants a serious team when they called? On today's video, I'm going to try to paint the picture of should the Giants make a trade for Olave or should they not? And the way that I started about it was I asked Trace Gerard what a trade would cost. We'll show you what that is coming up in a second. But there's no denying that Olave has been a really good player in the National Football League. He's entering his 4th season, and he's had a lot of success. His rookie year, played in 15 games, had 72 catches for 1,050 yards and 4 touchdowns. The next year he plays in 1 more game, and the stats increase. 87 receptions for almost 1,150 yards and 5 touchdowns. This year, though, only played in 8 games, and the stats weren't all that great. 32 grabs for 400 yards and a touchdown. This is a player that was selected in the 1st round out of Ohio State. He's had his moments. He's looked really good. It's just the inconsistencies with the injuries are something that I think is holding him back from being categorized as an elite wide receiver in this league. And as we know, if you're going to make a trade for a player, it's going to cost you something when it comes to trade value and having to pay him. The New York Giants right now do not have a lot of cap space. They're right up against the cap. I think they have the least amount of cap space actually in the National Football League. So how would the Giants be able to afford him? Here is Chris Olave's rookie contract. And as we know, if a team trades for a player, they are responsible for the base salary and the roster bonus. He has a base salary of $1.1 million and a roster bonus of $2.3 million. So the New York Giants would be on the books for just over $3.4 million if they did make a trade for Olave. As you see, he has a $15 million team option for 2026 that is going to be accepted, which means he could be looking for a new deal after this season if he plays well, or after next season. Eventually, a payday is coming the way for Chris Olave. I reached out to Trace Gerard and I said, what do you think a trade would cost? Maybe a third and Jameis Winston. We've heard some Jameis juice heading back to New Orleans with the addition of Jackson Dart. And he said, maybe, but it sounds like Kellen Moore and the Saints don't want a veteran quarterback. He said, to be honest with you, I don't think the Saints are going to trade him. Therefore, I think they are going to need to be blown away by an offer. And he said probably a 2026 second-round pick would get it done. Before I share my thoughts, if I would make this trade, I want to hear from all of you. Put yourself in the seat of Joe Schoen. If the Saints called and said, you know what? We'll give you Olave, but you got to give us your 2026 second-round pick. Type A for accept, type D for decline. I want to hear from you in the comments section. For me, this one was tough, and we're going to go step by step how I came to this decision, but I'm going to decline that offer of trading a second-round pick to New Orleans for Olave. And this doesn't mean I don't think Olave is a good receiver. He is a really good receiver. It's just so much deeper of a question than just accept, decline. And let's start with this. The injury history really scares me away from a trade for Olave. It's one thing to have an ankle, a hamstring, a wrist, a shoulder, a knee, and just hiccups throughout his career, but he's missed a lot of time throughout his NFL career, playing in just 39 of 51 games. He's missed 12 games. More importantly, it's the reason that he's missed those games. He's had not one, not two, not three, but 4 concussions in the National Football League, and those are the only confirmed concussions. And if you talk to anyone that's played in the NFL, they've all suffered concussions that they have not been diagnosed with. He also suffered a diagnosed concussion at Ohio State. So he has had 5 concussions throughout his career since just entering college football. Doesn't mean he didn't have one in high school or middle school, whenever he started playing. And concussions are nothing to joke about. And we've seen that with players that have played with the Giants. We've seen that across the NFL. One thing you don't want to stack up is concussions. And I just think that would be a rough move for the Giants. He's only X amount of concussions away from maybe never playing in the NFL again. Another reason I don't want to trade for Olave is because it would cost a 2026 premium draft pick. And at this current moment, the New York Giants are somewhat lacking in the premium draft capital for the 2026 draft. As we know, they traded a 2026 third-round pick to get back into the 2025 end of the first round to select Jackson Dart. Here are the Giants draft picks, which are projected by Tankathon.com. The Giants have a first-round pick, a second-round pick, no third-round pick. They do have a fourth, a fifth, and 2 sixths, but you have no third-round picks. And I don't love the idea of potentially selecting in the top 10, top 12, and then not selecting again for 100 picks or so. The Giants still need to build up this roster, and the best way to do that is by hitting on draft picks in the NFL draft, because you get to have cheap, cost-controlled players that will, if good, most likely outplay their contract. So I come back to, would you rather have a rookie wide receiver in round 2 compared to Chris Olave heading into year 5? Obviously, the year 5 wide receiver would most likely be better than a rookie second pick wide receiver. But the main difference is, outside of the potential and the talent of those players, is the rookie would be cost-controlled. And Chris Olave this time next year is going to be looking to put his name and pen to paper to sign an extremely expensive contract. He's going to want to get paid. Like, that's just is what it is. And I want to destigmatize the idea of having to pay a player is a bad thing. Having to pay a player is a good thing. because you only pay good players. But with where the Giants are at in their rebuild, where the Giants are at trying to add more talent, and where Olave is at with his injuries, like, I'm just not in love with the idea of paying a player that's been hurt for 12 games in 3 years with 4 concussions, and you have a player in Malik Nabers who's probably going to want to be one of the richest wide receivers of all time, giving Olave a big payday. Look, I'd love to have Olave, and I'd love to have Malik Nabers. It just doesn't seem like the most logical trade to me. Could they do it? Yeah. Would I be mad if they did it? No. It'd be a lot of fun waking up on Sundays, getting to know that I have Olave and Nabers working with maybe Jackson Dart for the next 5, 6, 7, 8, hopefully 10 plus years. I just don't know if it's the right move that they should make. And I'm absolutely scared of his injury history. Like, concussions scare me. And they should scare players as well. You suffer 5 concussions in the NFL, you may need to ask yourself if this is something that you should be doing for that much longer. So I factor in the draft capital. I factor in having to pay him. And most importantly, the injury history. Like, let's not misconstrue this. The Giants have to go out and get another wide receiver, whether it's this year or making adding a wide receiver a priority in the offseason. This room needs another extremely talented player. Malik Nabers is special. We know that. Wan'Dale Robinson hasn't really lived up to the hype heading into year 4. He's a slot wide receiver that I have some questions about what his potential may be. He's just a limited player due to his small catch radius and not being someone that has shown the ability to be a field stretcher in the NFL. Darius Slayton is a really good 3. He's a solid 2. I would like Olave, Slayton, and Nabers, but you're already paying Slayton $12 million per year. Jalen Hyatt's a question mark at this point. Bryce Ford-Wheaton has been a special teamer. Zach Pascal didn't have a catch last year. Lil Jordan Humphrey is going to be fighting to make this roster. Amir Smith-Marset is a special team guy. You really only have 3 wide receivers that have proven anything in this league, and still Jalen Hyatt wondering if he could be that guy. There are free agents that I think we should all be keeping our eyes on. Gabe Davis is someone that had a free agency visit to the New York Giants. If that knee is checked out and it looks good, I think the Giants are going to go out and sign him. Keenan Allen is also someone that sparks my interest, a veteran slot receiver that can create separation. After Wan'Dale, the Giants don't really have a proven slot guy. Amari Cooper could be another good boundary wide receiver for the Giants. It didn't click all that much last year for him in Buffalo with Josh Allen, but maybe with the full offseason with Russ, it could work. And Tyler Boyd, a cheaper guy in the slot that I think could make some sense and could be the backup to Wan'Dale Robinson. I'd like to go out and add a wide receiver. I'd be really happy if it was Chris Olave. I just don't think the Giants are going to do it, and for a second-round pick, I don't love it. I think you can get a better player with a cleaner injury history for a second-round pick at the wide receiver spot than Chris Olave. That's just where I'm at on that. Grade the Giants wide receiver room for me. Scale of 1 to 10. 1, worst in the league. 100. I think I said 1 to 10, 1 to 100. 100 is the best. 1 is the worst. Sound off for me down below. Make sure you are following me on social media. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. Same handle on both platforms at @MarshallGreen_. Appreciate you guys stopping by. If you haven't yet, hit that thumbs up icon, subscribe to the channel, and we will be back with more Giants news and rumors very soon.